Once upon a time, a woman named Mother Gothel took a sweet baby girl named Rapunzel to live in a tall, tall tower in the middle of a deep green forest. The tower had no doors and no stairs, just one little window at the very top. As Rapunzel grew, so did her hair. It grew longer and longer, shining like gold. When Mother Gothel wanted to get into the tower, she would stand at the bottom and call out in her croaky voice, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!" Rapunzel would wrap her long, strong braid around a hook by the window and drop it all the way down. Then, Mother Gothel would climb up, up, up the golden ladder of hair. One day, a kind prince was riding his horse through the forest when he heard the most beautiful singing. He followed the sound until he came to the tower. He hid behind a tree and saw Mother Gothel call out to Rapunzel. He watched as the long golden braid came down and the old woman climbed up. So that's how you get up, he thought. The next evening, the prince went to the tower and called in his kindest voice, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!" Down came the beautiful hair, and he climbed up. Rapunzel was happy to have a new friend. But one day, Mother Gothel found out about the prince. She was very angry. "You tricked me," she shouted. Snip, snip, Mother Gothel took a big pair of scissors and cut off Rapunzel's beautiful long hair. Then she sent poor Rapunzel far away to live all alone in the woods. The prince was very sad, but he searched everywhere for his friend. One day, he heard her sweet singing again. He found Rapunzel, and they were so happy to be together again that they went to his castle to live happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a happy kingdom, a king and queen had a beautiful baby girl named Aurora. They threw a big party to celebrate. 3 good fairies came to the party. "I give you the gift of beauty," said the first. "I give you the gift of a lovely song," said the second. Suddenly, a wicked fairy appeared. She was not invited. On her 16th birthday, she cackled, the princess will prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a deep sleep. The third good fairy had one gift left. She will not be asleep forever, she said kindly. A true love's kiss will wake her up. The king was very scared. He told everyone in the kingdom to hide all the spinning wheels so Aurora would be safe. Years passed, and Aurora grew into a kind princess. On her 16th birthday, she explored the castle and found a dusty, forgotten room at the top of a tower. Inside, she saw a strange spinning wheel. The wicked fairy had left it there. When Aurora touched the pointy spindle, she pricked her finger. Ouch! At once, Princess Aurora fell into a deep, deep sleep. The good fairies put everyone in the castle to sleep too, so she would not be alone when she woke up. 100 years later, a brave prince heard the story of the sleeping princess. He rode his horse through thick, thorny bushes that had grown all around the castle. The prince found the sleeping princess and gave her a gentle kiss. Princess Aurora's eyes opened. Everyone in the castle woke up, and they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a little cottage at the edge of a big, green forest, lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. They loved to play together all day long. One sunny morning, they went into the forest to pick berries. "Let's follow that pretty bluebird," said Gretel. The bird sang a sweet song and hopped from branch to branch, leading them deeper and deeper into the woods. Soon, the sun began to set, and the sky turned orange and purple. The little bluebird flew away. "Oh, Hansel," whispered Gretel, "I think we are lost." They hugged each other tightly as the forest grew dark. They were tired and hungry when suddenly Hansel saw a light twinkling between the trees. "Look, Gretel, a light!" he shouted. They held hands and walked towards the warm, friendly glow. They came to a clearing and saw the most wonderful house they had ever seen. It was made of gingerbread, with candy windows and a chocolate door. Lollipops grew like flowers in the garden. It's "It smells so good," said Hansel, and he broke off a tiny piece of the gingerbread wall. Just then, the door creaked open, and a little old woman with a kind smile peeked out. "Hello, children," she said. "Are you hungry? Please, come inside." The old woman gave them a wonderful dinner of soup and pancakes. They ate until their tummies were full. She tucked them into 2 soft little beds, and they fell fast asleep. The next morning, the woman wasn't so friendly. She wanted them to stay and do chores for her forever. Gretel had an idea. She whispered to Hansel, "We have to run away when she's not looking." While the old woman was busy, Gretel grabbed Hansel's hand. "Now," she whispered. They tiptoed to the door, opened it quietly, and then ran out as fast as they could, back into the forest. They didn't know which way to go, but then they heard a familiar song. It was the little bluebird. It flew just ahead of them, showing them the path. Soon, they saw their own little cottage. They ran home and were safe at last. Once upon a time, there lived a kind and gentle princess named Snow White. She had skin as white as snow and hair as black as night. She loved all the animals in the forest. Snow White lived in a big castle with her stepmother, the queen. The queen was very beautiful, but she was not very kind. Every day she asked her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" For a long time, the mirror always answered, "You, my queen, are the fairest of all." But one day, the mirror said, "Snow White is the fairest of all." This made the queen very angry. The queen told her huntsman to take Snow White far away into the forest. But the huntsman was kind. He told Snow White to run away and hide. Snow White was scared, but the forest animals helped her. Deep in the woods, Snow White found a tiny little cottage. She knocked on the door, but no one was home. Inside, everything was tiny. There was a tiny table with 7 tiny chairs and 7 tiny beds. The cottage was a bit messy, so Snow White decided to clean it up to say thank you. After all the work, she felt very sleepy. She yawned and fell asleep across the 7 little beds. Soon, the owners of the cottage came home. They were 7 dwarfs. They worked in the mines all day. They were very surprised to find a beautiful princess sleeping in their beds. When Snow White woke up, she told the dwarfs her story. They felt sorry for her and said she could stay with them. Snow White cooked and cleaned for the dwarfs, and in the evening, they would all sing and dance together. Back at the castle, the queen asked her mirror again, "Who is the fairest of all?" The mirror told her that Snow White was still alive and living with the 7 dwarfs. The queen was furious. She used her magic to create a poison apple. The disguised queen went to the cottage and gave the apple to Snow White. Snow White took one bite and fell into a deep, magical sleep. A handsome prince who had heard of the sleeping princess found her in the forest. He gave her a gentle kiss, which broke the spell. Snow White woke up, and they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, there lived a sweet little girl. Her grandmother made her a beautiful red cloak with a hood, which she wore everywhere. That's why everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Your grandmother is not feeling well. Please take this basket of cakes to her. Go straight there, and don't talk to strangers in the woods." Little Red Riding Hood skipped into the woods. The birds were singing, and the sun peeked through the trees. She saw some beautiful flowers and thought, "Grandmother would love a bouquet." Suddenly, a big wolf appeared from behind a tree. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," he said with a wide, toothy smile. "Where are you off to so early?" She forgot her mother's warning and replied, "I'm going to my grandmother's house. She is sick in bed." The wolf licked his lips and thought, "How delicious!" The sneaky wolf ran ahead on a secret path. He got to the grandmother's house first and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" called the grandmother. "It's Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said in a high, squeaky voice. "Come in, my dear," said the grandmother. The wolf rushed in, and in one big gulp, he swallowed the grandmother whole. Then he put on her nightcap, got into her bed, and pulled the covers up to his chin. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she walked to the bed. "Oh, grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." The wolf replied, "All the better to hear you with, my dear." "But grandmother," she said, "what big teeth you have." The wolf roared, "All the better to eat you with." He jumped out of bed, and with another big gulp, he swallowed her too. A brave woodcutter passing by heard a loud snore. He looked inside, saw the wolf with a very full belly, and knew what had happened. He carefully snipped open the wolf's tummy, and out popped Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. They all cheered, and Little Red Riding Hood promised to always listen to her mother. Once upon a time, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters, who were very bossy. Cinderella cleaned the house, cooked the meals, and was always kind, even when they were not. One day, an invitation arrived from the palace. The prince was having a royal ball. The stepsisters were so excited. "I will wear my pink dress," said one. "I will wear my yellow dress," said the other. Cinderella wanted to go to the ball too, but her stepmother laughed and said, You have nothing to wear but rags." Sad and lonely, Cinderella went to the garden and cried. Suddenly, a shimmering light appeared, and a woman with a kind smile and a magic wand stood before her. "I am your fairy godmother," she said. "Don't cry, Cinderella. You will go to the ball." With a flick of her wrist, the fairy godmother turned a big orange pumpkin into a sparkling coach. Then she waved her wand again, and Cinderella's old clothes became a beautiful, shimmering blue gown. "Now for the final touch," said the fairy godmother, and on Cinderella's feet appeared a pair of tiny, perfect glass slippers. "The magic only lasts until midnight," she warned. "You must be home by then." At the ball, everyone was stunned by her beauty. The prince saw her and couldn't take his eyes off her. He asked her to dance, and they danced together all evening, smiling and laughing. As the clock began to strike 12, Cinderella remembered the fairy godmother's warning. "I must go," she cried. She hurried out of the ballroom and down the palace steps, losing one of her glass slippers along the way. The prince found the slipper. "I will find her," he declared. The next day, he went to every house in the kingdom, asking every person to try on the slipper, but it didn't fit anyone. Finally, the prince came to Cinderella's house. The stepsisters tried, but the slipper was too small. Then Cinderella tried it on. It fit perfectly. The prince knew he had found his true love. They were married and lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, there lived a kind woman who wished for a little girl as tiny as a flower. One day, inside the most beautiful tulip blooming in her garden, she found a tiny, lovely girl. She named her Thumbelina. Thumbelina slept in a walnut shell and used rose petals as her blanket. During the day, she would sail in a plate of water on the table, using 2 white horsehairs as oars. One night, while she was sleeping, an ugly toad croaked and hopped in through the window. When he saw Thumbelina's beauty, he decided to take her as a bride for his son. "What a beautiful wife she will be for my son," he thought. The toad grabbed the walnut shell where Thumbelina was sleeping and jumped out the window. He took her to a wide stream at the end of the garden. There he placed her on a large water lily leaf in the middle of the stream so she couldn't escape. When Thumbelina woke up, she found herself all alone on a huge leaf in the middle of the stream. She was surrounded by water, and there was no way to get to the land. She was very scared and began to cry. The little fish in the water heard her sobs and felt very sorry for her. They didn't want this lovely girl to be the ugly toad's bride. They quickly nibbled through the stem of the water lily leaf. The leaf began to float slowly down the river. Just then, a beautiful butterfly landed beside her. Thumbelina untied her sash and tied one end to the butterfly and the other to the leaf. The butterfly pulled her faster along the river. Summer ended, and cold winds began to blow. Thumbelina was cold and had nowhere to stay. The leaves had turned yellow, and the flowers had withered. Just then, a kind field mouse who lived under the ground saw her. "Come into my warm home, little girl," she said. "You can spend the winter here." Near the mouse's home, they found a swallow with a hurt wing from the cold. Thumbelina felt very sorry for him. All winter, she took care of him, kept him warm, and helped him get better. When spring came, the swallow was completely healed. "Thank you for your kindness," he said. "Hop on my back, and I will take you to a warm and sunny place." Thumbelina joyfully climbed onto the swallow's back. The swallow brought her down to a field full of flowers. Inside each flower lived tiny people, just like Thumbelina. She had finally found where she belonged, and they lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, deep in the forest, lived 3 bears in a cozy cottage. A great big papa bear, a middle-sized mama bear, and a tiny little baby bear. One morning, Mama Bear made some delicious porridge for breakfast, but the porridge was too hot. "Whoosh!" blew Baby Bear. "Let's take a walk in the forest until our porridge cools down," said Papa Bear. So the 3 bears held hands and left their house. Just then, a little girl named Goldilocks, who had golden yellow hair, was wandering in the forest. She saw the bears' cozy cottage and became very curious. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. The door was ajar, so she went inside. She saw 3 bowls of porridge on the table, and she was very hungry. First, she took a spoonful from Papa Bear's big bowl. "This is too hot," she said. Then she tried Mama Bear's middle-sized bowl. "This is too cold," she said. Finally, she tried Baby Bear's tiny bowl. "This is just right," she said, and ate it all up. After finishing her meal, Goldilocks wanted to rest. She saw 3 chairs. She sat in Papa Bear's big chair. "This is too hard," she said. She sat in Mama Bear's middle-sized chair. "This is too soft," she said. Finally, she sat in Baby Bear's tiny chair. "This is just right for me," she said. But as soon as she sat down, the chair broke with a crack. Goldilocks felt sleepy. She went up the stairs and saw a bedroom. There were 3 beds in the room. She lay down on Papa Bear's big bed. "This is too hard," she said. She lay down on Mama Bear's middle-sized bed. "This is too soft," she said. At last, she lay down in Baby Bear's tiny little bed. "This is just right for me," she said, and fell into a deep sleep. A short while later, the 3 bears returned from their walk. Papa Bear roared in his deep voice. "Someone's been eating my porridge!" Mama Bear said, "Someone's been eating my porridge too." And Baby Bear cried, "Someone's been eating my porridge and has eaten it all up." When they went upstairs, Baby Bear went to his bed and cried, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and she's still there." Goldilocks woke up and was very scared to see the 3 bears. She jumped out of bed, ran out of the house, and never came back again.